Today, we're going to deconstruct one person's really ambitious quest to find a single, universal truth. To do it, he decided to read the foundational texts of the world's major religions, all at once, to see if he could find a common answer.
So let's just start with the question that kicked this whole thing off. Imagine this. You decide to read the world's most sacred books, right? You're looking for that common thread. But what if, instead of finding this universal agreement, you found one text that was just completely, radically different from everything else?
And look, this was not some casual weekend project. The speaker really embarked on a systematic journey, reading through the absolute cornerstones of global faith to find out what they all had to say.
I mean, the sheer scope of this thing was immense. He read the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Book of Mormon, and the Tao. And when it came to the Bible, he didn't just read one version. No, he studied the Catholic, the Protestant, and the Orthodox Bibles, and even the Apocrypha. So this was a deep, really comprehensive investigation.
So as he's reading through text after text, he starts to see something. A pattern, a recurring message that just seemed to echo across all these different cultures and centuries.
He found this common thread running through almost all of them, and the core message kind of boiled down to this: salvation or enlightenment, it's ultimately in your hands. It's a philosophy of self-betterment. Just be a good person, do the right thing, and you'll be okay.
But then he hit an anomaly. One text that, from his point of view, didn't just differ from the pattern, it seemed to completely shatter it.
Okay, so here's the fundamental break he saw. On one side, you had this really consistent message: you are capable of being good, you can save yourself, just do the right thing. But the Bible, as he read it, said the absolute opposite. You are not a good person, you cannot save yourself, and you need a savior. The crucial difference here is this total inversion of who has the power to achieve salvation.
So this stark difference led him to the next layer of his whole investigation. He started to look at how other belief systems viewed the central figure of the Bible, Jesus.
And then he noticed something pretty interesting. In his own experiences and conversations, he found that so many people outside of Christianity still pointed to Jesus as a model for a good life. He talks about how people from Muslim or Hindu backgrounds would say that, yeah, to live like Jesus is a good thing. He even argues that many atheists might point to Jesus as the ideal example of what a good person looks like. So what he saw was this almost universal respect for the figure of Jesus.
And this is what led him to the core paradox. It seemed like so many other paths were affirming Jesus as a good way. But when he actually looked at what Jesus said about himself, he found that, well, the validation didn't exactly go both ways.
Yeah, it turns out the validation was a one-way street. The speaker points directly to this verse, John 14:6, as the evidence. The claim here isn't that he's one way among many, but that he is the only way. It's an exclusive claim that stands in pretty stark contrast to all the inclusive affirmations he was seeing from others.
So, how did he resolve this? How do you reconcile a world of beliefs pointing to this one figure who, in turn, doesn't point back at any of them? For him, the answer was in a piece of simple logic.
He called it the odd man out logic, and his reasoning went like this: if many paths all affirm one figure, but that one figure doesn't affirm any other path, and actually claims to be the only way, then that unique, exclusive claim, well, it must be the truth. The exception, in his view, had to be the answer.
In his whole intellectual journey, it led to a single, transformative moment of personal acceptance. He actually describes making his final decision while he was in Bangalore, India. For him, this was the point where all that logic moved from his head to his heart, and it grounded this huge philosophical quest in a really life-changing experience.
So, the speaker's journey really leaves us with a fascinating question, doesn't it? When you're searching for truth, do you look for the consensus, that common thread that ties everything together? Or do you look for the exception, the one thing that stands completely and totally unapologetically apart? It's a choice between the many and the one, and it's a powerful idea to think about.